By the end of this video, you're gonna know the step-by-step process on how I built my media team completely from zero. Now, just know this is not a complicated process, but there are some key points that you need to know in order for this to be seamless. Like our first point, which is knowing the kind of client you wanna go after. I was initially building the media company Narrative, which is the name of my company. I first had to understand, who do we wanna help? I knew for a fact we wanted to create brand videos for clients, for their companies. I had a brand story that I wanted to help them share. They wanted to create a know, like, and trust in just one video that could end up being an asset for their company. So I knew I wanted to help business owners, but we also capture events as well, telling the story of what the event was like. With understanding who it is that I want to help, I needed to understand what their actual problem was. Let's stick with the business owners that want to create brand videos. Their biggest problem is they struggle with being able to convey their story online, helping people understand who they are, what they do, their reasoning behind everything, but they don't understand how to convey that. And that is where we come in. But just knowing the problem is only one part of the puzzle, because the other portion is reverse engineering the problem in order to create the solution. Now, understanding the needs of the client is going to be pivotal in this process, because if you don't understand the in-depth aspect of the problem that they're having, you can't be like a doctor and give them a solution that they know they need. That is why having conversations with these clients to understand their biggest pain points is the most pivotal point in the conversation. Because if you don't know how you can aid them, then you can't inform them on why they need it, why it can help them, or even more so, just have an understanding of them in general. Now it's time to do the actual work and begin the reverse engineering process. Now, reverse engineering is genuinely just starting at the actual end or the pain point and then creating the solution. Here's our example. We had clients who didn't know exactly how to show up online, how to tell their story in such a way that would draw people's attention. So we know that there needs to be a couple different ways that they can do it. They need to be able to talk about what they actually do, their reason, and their in-depth ability to convey why they do so. Being in videography for 7 years, this is something that I believe that we can do. So that's something we can provide to them. We can create a video for them that'll be able to help the people understand exactly who they are, what they do, and their reasonings for doing so. And then on top of that, we know how to create high quality content that can also gain people's attention and even share the story in such a way that gets people just enamored with their story. This is our solution to their big problem. As I shared before on being a solo creator versus a team, now I need to hire people in order for us to be able to not only produce it, but not put me in the ground by doing all the work myself. So I simply hire skill sets. I can film basic interviews and talking heads, but one thing I do know is I cannot tell a story by editing nearly as much as my brother, Derek. Derek is a phenomenal storyteller when it comes to editing. He's big into sound design, his coloring is insane, the pacing, all of his aspects of storytelling in the editing post-production process is way better than I am. Even though I understand that right now I don't have the wherewithal of being able to have an entire team filming right now, I had to do that portion myself. But the one thing I knew I needed to at least hire immediately was an editor to be able to carry the bandwidth, because we now have 3 videos back to back to back that we're gonna be able to need to be done at a high quality level, and that story told at such a way that it's gonna be super engaging and very, very much of an asset to the company that we're filming for. So sometimes whenever you're looking to build a team, the first place you have to check is your own personal network. Now, being in videography and lived in multiple states and filmed in different states, you begin to develop a network of a couple people who you either like their work or you know for a fact that they're just super solid. I knew me and Derek not only had similar shooting styles, but I know that his editing style is phenomenal. I reached out to him and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I need an editor. When we end up closing these deals for this price, would you be open to editing? And we're here. Would you be able to do that? And he said, dude, absolutely. And we actually just finished one of our first ones. We have 2 edits left, and our client loved the video we produced for them. This would not have happened if I didn't tap into my own network and then communicate to the people and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Are you open to being a part of this? I have to be able to assign roles to people based upon their skill set. And I know Derek is a phenomenal editor. And soon, when we really get this thing going, Derek is probably gonna end up being from the editing portion to the actual set himself, because he is very, very good at narrative filming as well as storytelling. A lot of times you cannot just put someone in front of a camera just because they call themselves a videographer or a content creator. You have to be able to know who's best at what, understand people's strengths and their skill set, and then be able to assign a role based upon their skills. The main takeaway I need you guys to understand is this. You have to understand the problem that you are solving for, and then once you reverse engineer exactly how you're gonna be able to give that client the solution, you then need to be able to hire skill sets that are gonna be able to fulfill roles that will allow the client to actually have that end result needed that you promised them. Now, you can be a solo creator, you can probably do all of this, but I promise you, after doing 7 years all by myself, you being able to leverage a team and be able to hire people based upon their skill sets, that some may be even better than you. I told you, I hired Derek, and Derek's way better than me at editing. Eventually, I'm gonna end up doing all of this and outsource all of this, and then just end up being the face of the company and building a brand that way, and just focusing on the business portion, because that's what I do the best. But you have to understand, once you end up developing that solution for the client, after you know who you wanna help, you then have to build out a team or hire out a team based upon the skill sets to be able to produce a high quality product that your clients are gonna love.